The exploration of Mars has long captivated the imagination of scientists and space enthusiasts alike, with each new discovery shedding light on the planet's mysterious past and potential for extraterrestrial life. Among the many intriguing findings from Mars exploration missions, one particular image captured by NASA's Curiosity rover has sparked widespread interest and speculation: the apparent sighting of what looks like an ammonite in one of its photographs. The image in question was taken by Curiosity's Mastcam camera and subsequently shared with the public by NASA. In the photograph, a small coiled object resembling the fossilized shell of an ancient marine organism can be seen partially buried in the Martian rock. The object's spiral shape and segmented chambers bear a striking resemblance to the shells of terrestrial ammonites, extinct relatives of modern-day cephalopods such as squid and nautilus. The discovery of a potential ammonite fossil on Mars raises a host of tantalizing questions about the planet's past and its potential for harboring life. Ammonites were prolific inhabitants of Earth's oceans for hundreds of millions of years, from the Devonian period to the end of the Cretaceous period, and their fossils are commonly found in sedimentary rocks around the world. The presence of an apparent ammonite fossil on Mars suggests that the planet may have once been home to liquid water and potentially hospitable conditions for life. However, the interpretation of the object in the photograph as an actual fossil remains a subject of debate. While some have pointed to its resemblance to terrestrial ammonites and the possibility of ancient Martian oceans, others have offered alternative explanations for its appearance. One possibility is that the object is a naturally occurring rock formation that has been eroded or weathered into a spiral shape by wind or other geological processes. Another possibility is that it is a concretion, a type of mineral deposit that can form in sedimentary rocks through the precipitation of minerals around a nucleus. Despite these alternative explanations, the discovery of the potential ammonite fossil highlights the importance of continued exploration and investigation of Mars's geological history. Over the past decade, robotic rovers and orbiters have provided unprecedented insights into the planet's past environment, revealing evidence of ancient riverbeds, lakebeds, and even possible hot springs. These findings suggest that Mars was once a much warmer and wetter planet than it is today, with conditions that may have been conducive to the emergence and evolution of life. In addition to its potential implications for Mars's past habitability, the discovery of a possible ammonite fossil also underscores the broader significance of astrobiology and the search for life beyond Earth. The exploration of Mars and other planetary bodies in our solar system offers a unique opportunity to study the processes that shape planetary evolution and the conditions necessary for life to arise and thrive. By studying the geology, chemistry, and biology of Mars, scientists hope to gain a better understanding of the potential for life elsewhere in the universe and our place within it.
Evidence of water on Mars. The idea of water on Mars has been present in science for many years. It is now well known that Mars is considered a mostly dry planet, with limited evidence of moisture. However, new information shows that ancient waters once flowed over the surface of the red planet. As we mentioned earlier, the presence of the blueberries also lends itself to the idea that running water was present on Mars. The first major hint suggesting that Mars was covered in water is through the craters formed on the face of the planet. Scientists from the Netherlands assert that the only thing capable of forming the kind of massive craters discovered would have been large amounts of water, specifically water that was deep and remained in one place for a long time. Alongside these craters are various channels formed in the surface of Mars, which suggests that running water existed and created these pathways. These channels are indented, which tells us that this running water existed for a long period of time. This confirms that once Mars was home to many lakes, rivers, and perhaps also larger bodies of water like oceans. The soil found on Mars has been found to have hydrogen in it. This has been attributed to the presence of water molecules in the soil as well. This could indicate that water may still exist beneath the surface of Mars. NASA has found rocks that look like concrete slabs built from this soil. The rock has eroded on one side. The other is completely smooth. Scientists affirm that water, specifically running water, is responsible. Another important piece of evidence that Mars contained water is the ice now present. Various rovers have discovered ice and glaciers. The temperatures on Mars now are far too low to support liquid water. There are also minerals and rocks that have formed under the ice that imply that liquid water was once part of the red planet. In 2018, a subglacial lake was discovered. It extends about 20 kilometers, and it is considered to be the first known stable body of liquid water on Mars. This provides important insight into what Mars once was, and it also allows scientists to better assess whether Mars could or ever did support life. Throughout these studies, scientists are very positive that running water once existed on Mars in high volumes. The Curiosity rover was sent to Mars to discover whether flowing water ever existed on the planet, and it seems that this has been confirmed. This shapes everything we know and continue to learn about Mars, as we discover what life may have looked like when water was running on this planet. While some scientists believe that the running water only existed for a short amount of time on Mars, it seems that the combination of studies and evidence suggest that it existed much longer than previously believed. This suggests that there may have been enough water present for a long enough period of time that Mars could have been considered habitable. The evidence of running water opens new questions about whether there was plant or animal life once on Mars and how long ago this may have been. Scientists argue that the evidence of water on Mars is the first true evidence of a possible habitable environment. Water is essential to all life as we know it, so the idea that Mars once contained this necessity for life is incredible.
Universe is a false vacuum. There are a few ways that physicists have toyed with when it comes to theorizing about the destruction of the universe, and they generally have ominous names: the Big Rip, the Heat Death, and the Big Crunch. One particularly interesting hypothetical destruction is vacuum decay. Before diving into understanding vacuum decay, we need to backtrack and talk about Higgs field. Higgs field is a field of energy that permeates our universe. Similar to an electric field, Higgs field varies in strength. The power of Higgs field in any particular area is dependent on its potential. Another part of this operation is Higgs boson. Higgs boson is the foundational particle connected with Higgs field. It was proposed by Peter Higgs, Francois Eglert, and 4 other theorists in 1964, and confirmed in 2012, resulting in a Nobel Prize for the scientists. The potential of Higgs field tells us whether the universe is in a state of true vacuum or false vacuum. A vacuum is a space entirely lacking in matter. It is also the stable, lowest energy state. Currently, the universe is in a false vacuum state called metastable. It's not actively decaying, but it is also not completely stable. 2 glaring issues to consider when living in a metastable universe are that a high enough energy event can, in theory, take a small region of the universe from the false vacuum into the true vacuum. This would create a domino effect of a true vacuum that would expand in all directions at the speed of light. Such an event would be lethal. The second issue is that the tiny particle can create a passage through a boundary between one region and another. This could include tunneling through to the vacuum state. So, a universe in a metastable false vacuum has the potential to suddenly be partly in a true vacuum state, which would be detrimental. The possibility of vacuum decay has been weighing on the mind of researchers recently because the measurements of Higgs boson seem to indicate that the vacuum is now metastable. This might seem like a reason to feel alarmed and move into a state of existential dread. However, the life of a metastable universe is predicted to be substantially longer than the life of the current universe.
Starless exoplanets may orbit black holes. Exoplanets are, put simply, just planets that don't orbit our Sun. Recent studies have found, though, that some exoplanets, rather than orbit a star, are orbiting supermassive black holes. This is also thought to be quite common across the universe, as evidence suggests that at the centre of a galaxy, the supermassive black hole can pull planets into its orbit. What's more is that it doesn't stop there. Theories suggest that these planets can also be formed around these black holes. Whilst it's true that black holes are never ending in the pursuit to consume everything around it, they can also form a ring around themselves. These rings are made of various gases and dust, but form anywhere up to 30 light-years away from the supermassive black hole itself. It is theorized that planets can be formed when a star forms. The cloud of gas and dust from around the star collapses and forms disks. These disks are then pulled together and merged by gravity. As you can probably put together, this new research suggests that the clouds formed around a supermassive black hole can create these disks and potentially, in turn, planets. These planets created around the black holes would be around 10 times the mass of the Earth and could be giant ice or rock planets. Also, because these planets would be formed light years away from the black hole, that there wouldn't be any strange happenings on these planets caused by the extreme gravity from the black hole. The scientists carrying out this research at the University of Kagoshima in Japan also estimate that tens of thousands of these planets could be orbiting the supermassive black holes in the centers of galaxies, and even go as far as to say this could be happening in our own galaxy too. Potential third planet discovered orbiting Proxima Centauri. Although we have not yet discovered extraterrestrial life in our solar system, that does not mean that we are totally without neighbours. In fact, it is the very study of these easily visible nearby neighbours that has allowed us to learn so much about the endless stretch of space that surrounds us. Recently, a surprising discovery was made about the star closest to our Sun, Proxima Centauri, which is the smallest member of the Alpha Centauri system of the Centaurus constellation and is located just over 4 light-years away. Findings published in the Astronomy and Astrophysics journal detailed how a team of astronomers analysing observations made by the European Southern Observatory's Very Large Telescope in Chile located another planet orbiting the nearby star, which makes it the third planet in this small neighbouring system. It seems that the study of this strange new little planet, dubbed Proxima d, could tell researchers much about elements of our solar system that were previously unknown. Firstly, it orbits incredibly close to Proxima Centauri. For reference, Mercury orbits our own Sun at a distance of 10 times that of Proxima d's orbit of Proxima Centauri. One lap around its host star takes just 5 days, while the other 2 planets in the system, Proxima b and Proxima c, take 11 days and a whopping 5 years, respectively. Additionally, with a mass barely a quarter of Earth's, it is one of the lightest exoplanets that has been discovered so far. Due to the closeness and variability of this neighbouring system, scientists are keen to learn its secrets. However, knowledge of the Proxima Centauri system is actually rather slim, as Proxima b was not confirmed as a planet until 2020. In fact, it was the study of this planet using the Eschel spectrograph for rocky exoplanets and stable spectroscopic observations, or ESPRESSO, instrument on the ESO's Very Large Telescope that led to the discovery of Proxima d as mere hints of a corresponding signal surrounding this new planet. After specific ESPRESSO measurements were conducted dedicated exclusively to the potential Proxima d, it was confirmed that the system indeed hosted a third, albeit very small, planet. This achievement is extremely important. Dr. Pedro Figueira, an astronomer with the ESO and a member of the ESPRESSO team. It shows that the radial velocity technique has the potential to unveil a population of light planets, like our own, that are expected to be the most abundant in our galaxy and that can potentially host life as we know it. This result clearly shows what ESPRESSO is capable of and makes me wonder about what it will be able to find in the future. NASA can't explain strange spiral in space. In 2006, scientists finally uncovered the true nature of star AFGL 3068, a first-of-its-kind spiral object 3,000 light-years away in the constellation Pegasus. Before this discovery, scientists knew the star existed, but the object was too faint for scientists to determine exactly what the spot was. Only after a 33-minute-long exposure with the ultra-sensitive advanced camera for surveys on the Hubble Space Telescope did scientists begin to really see the spirals come into view. Scientists found that the entity consisted of large, perfectly placed coils of dust floating out in the universe. Before AFGL 3068, the only spirals found in space were known as spiral galaxies. This star is nothing like a spiral galaxy. First of all, it is not a galaxy at all. Instead, it is made up of a binary star system that includes two stars orbiting around each other. The first star is a red giant carbon star, and the second is a blue-white star that exists 103 astronomical units away from the red giant. 103 astronomical units are approximately 2 times the distance between the Sun and Pluto. Since the two stars are so far from one another, they take approximately 800 years to orbit around each other. So, how are the spirals created? In the most basic sense, the red giant releases carbon material. This material then combines to form larger molecules, which create fine black dust. This dust covers the red giant and blocks all or most of its light. The blue-white star's gravitational pull tugs the dust toward itself and away from the red giant, but most of the dust ends up escaping into space during the process. As the two binary stars circle each other, the black dust escapes outward to form a spiral. After determining how the spirals were created, scientists wondered how the system was being illuminated. The dust being dispelled is dark and has no illumination qualities of its own, yet it could still be seen. The star could not have illuminated the spirals because it was also covered in the black dust, so scientists determined that the spirals were being illuminated by our own galaxy, the Milky Way. Interestingly, this is the only celestial body that is not illuminated by sunlight, starlight, or fluorescence that has been photographed. While these phenomena might occur similarly in other systems, they were not officially discovered before AFGL 3068. This is because these phenomena can be difficult to find. First, the red giant is consistently losing significant amounts of mass in the form of black dust. That level of mass loss can only be temporary, and scientists must be in the right place at the right time. Second, the giant would have to be part of a binary system orbiting around another star big enough to have a large enough gravitational pull to draw in the black dust. This fantastic new discovery could help scientists and astronomers solve the many mysteries in other systems that were unsolvable before the discovery on AFGL 3068. Mysterious object on Saturn's moons. One of the things that is usually certain about the lifeless planet orbiting the Sun is the fact that things rarely change. Scientists looking at 2 satellite images of the same location on a distant planet, taken sometimes years apart, might find themselves playing the world's hardest game of spot the difference. However, an image taken of a lake on one of Saturn's moons caused researchers to do a double take, as a strange formation had emerged. And, in an even stranger turn of events, the formation disappeared just as suddenly as it had appeared, leaving scientists with little clue as to what it could be, where it had come from, and where it might have gone. The image was taken by NASA's Cassini probe as it circled around Titan, Saturn's largest moon, and one of the most varied landscapes of the solar system besides our own planet Earth. Larger than Mercury and over 1 billion kilometers from Earth, Titan is the only moon in our solar system with an atmosphere composition similar to Earth's, but with a much higher surface pressure. It is also the only place in the entire solar system other than Earth that has liquids, as its surface is made up of liquid hydrocarbons flowing in rivers, lakes, and oceans that can reach hundreds of kilometers across and hundreds of meters deep next to rolling dunes and mountains. It was in one of these lakes that the white blob appeared in the northern hemisphere of Titan. The lake in question is called Legaia Mare and is estimated to be over 150 meters deep, with the strange formation measuring around 19 kilometers wide and 9 kilometers deep, and materializing about 10 kilometers off the shore. Interestingly, the mysterious figure was absent in satellite images taken just 16 days after the initial photo. Although Titan's lakes are generally totally smooth due to the lack of wind in its atmosphere, it is thought that the formation could be initial deep-sea waves as Titan's northern hemisphere begins to slowly rotate closer to the Sun. Other theories include floating icebergs, a rush of bubbles or matter being released from deep within the stagnant sea, or something suspended in the liquid below the surface. However, as the formation was absent from subsequent photos taken of the location, scientists are forced to theorize based on just one image, meaning that unless it mysteriously reappears again, we may likely never know exactly what it was that was changing on such a static planet. What made the discovery so interesting is that planetary scientists believe that if there truly is life somewhere outside of Earth's atmosphere, then they will find it lurking deep in the lakes, rivers, and oceans of Titan. Because of the interesting composition of Titan, there is a possibility that any existing life on the surface of this moon could be very chemically different from life on Earth. So scientists study any changes or outlying formations on the surface of Titan very closely. Although this discovery left us with more questions than answers, perhaps it is the next step in discovering life outside of our Earth. Amateur astronomer discovers a tiny moon around Jupiter. We often hear the advice given to us growing up to making money doing something you love, or sometimes to try and keep work and hobbies distinct from one another. Whichever side of this debate you fall on, amateur astronomer Kai Lee has proved that you do not need to be a professional to make great progress and significant achievements in a field. In 2020, Kai Lee successfully located 4 Jupiter moons that had been considered lost after their predicted patterns of movement seemingly changed. Lee replotted their predicted trajectories and accurately highlighted which moons these were from telescope images that were publicly available. Following this feat, Lee has managed to discover and locate a previously unknown moon orbiting Jupiter. Kai Lee posted on June 30th in an online community for the world's leading amateur astronomers, the Minor Planet mailing list, commenting, "I'm proud to say that this is the first planetary moon discovered by an amateur astronomer." Using old telescope images from 2003, Lee spotted the small moon orbiting Jupiter, 385 million miles away from Earth. Jupiter has a total of 79 moons, and now thanks to Lee, that's 80. And this unnamed satellite could be one of just many more moons we are yet to discover within our very own solar system. Some of these Jovian moons are so small that they can be seen by a large telescope for only 1 month in a year. Jeff Hecht from Sky and Telescope reports that Lee made the discovery using images taken back in 2003 by the Canada-France-Hawaii telescope. This is the same dataset from which they were able to pinpoint the lost Jovian moons in 2020. Both the new moon and the lost moons were discovered within the Karma cluster, a group of 22 rocks with orbits fairly similar to one another in space. Many NASA scientists have predicted that Karma, the largest of these satellites, was once an asteroid that has broken into smaller pieces, giving each part a similar orbit, with an average radius of 14 miles. After Lee had made the initial observation, they calculated the 22 days arc the moon follows by using data available from the Subaru telescope, which confirmed that the previously unseen object was indeed a moon orbiting Jupiter. Lee has elaborated on their work, explaining that they made 76 observations which covered a total of 15.26 years, meaning the orbit is mapped out and secured for decades. They stated, "I hereby present to you Jupiter's 80th moon, EJC 0061 equals S/2003J24. Other amateur astronomers have congratulated Kai Lee, explaining to those who are uninformed about the hours of work required to search through the incredible amounts of data. Lee has described their search for Jupiter's moons as a summer hobby before I returned to school. This is an impressive feat and an incredible discovery, made without advanced equipment, but rather the data that is available to the public." Mars is humming. The InSight rover landed on Mars in November 2018, landing near the equator of the red planet. NASA's robot has been measuring the planet's seismic activity and conducting tests on its geographic qualities. Its mission is to understand and learn about the geology of rocky planets to observe their evolution and gain some more understanding about Earth's history and potential future. Scientists cannot get enough data on rocky planets just from Earth, they need to gather information from others. InSight landed in the Elysium Planitia, a small crater located on a volcanic plain. This location is often caught in wind and dust storms. The data it has gathered so far suggests that the seismic activity and magnetic field on Mars are much stronger than the researchers estimated, about 10 times more. While collecting data, the rover recorded a strange humming sound that researchers and experts have not been able to concretely identify the cause of. They have their speculations, though, and suggest it is caused by both seismic movement below the surface as well as the wind above it. When combined together, these two forces create a strange sound. The hum actually cannot be heard by humans. It falls outside our frequency range but gets picked up on readings by the robot and its machines. So any future human visitors will not be able to hear Mars humming. The researchers are excited at finding so many similarities between Mars and Earth. The infrasound, sound we can't hear, and the atmospheric turbulence are encouraging to their studies on finding out Mars's history and seeing what its timeline looks like compared to ours. Interestingly enough, Earth also has a faint infrasound humming to it. There have been reports of a hum that have been a hot debate for many years, even outside the astronomy community. Scientists can't really explain it, but many people try to blame it for certain diseases and health issues. There have been many locations across Earth that have complained of some sort of noise pollution and mysterious humming sounds. Now, InSight has identified a similar one on Mars. The robot was using a seismometer to measure the quakes underneath the planet. Since its first reading, it has measured over 400 quakes. It even managed to find fault lines on Mars, which confirms the constant seismic activity found. A few of the quakes have registered at 3 to 4 magnitudes, but most of them were so small that the machines and scientists were unable to detect their origin. Researchers also found that there are more quakes on Mars when the planet gets cold. When it cools down, it contracts, which forces the brittle layers near the surface to break in a way to accommodate their positioning. This breaking is causing stress on the surface that results in quakes. There are still many mysteries that the InSight researchers are excited about delving into, like how they recorded some type of activity at Mars's depth. They believe there might even be hot magma still at its core. They will continue to measure the activity and gather as much knowledge about Mars's geological history as possible.